Welcome back everyone to another episode of Cooking with JJ. In this week's episode, I'm going to be making tostadas de picadillo. What they are crispy tortillas on the bottom with refried beans on top and a beautiful mixture, perfectly seasoned on top of that, along with some other wonderful toppings that you'll find out about. I'm going to be making my own tortillas. They're going to be rustic. Since I don't have a tortilla press, I'm going to add a secret ingredient in the mix as well. I'm really excited to get started on these and of course enjoy them in the end. So without further ado, let's head over to the kitchen and get cooking! Starting off, I have 2 Yukon Gold potatoes that have been washed and peeled, and we're going to dice them up. I'm going to dice them up into fairly small pieces. I have 1 large carrot I'm dicing up. Try to aim to get the pieces to be the same size. This carrot is fairly thick, so you may need an additional carrot or 2. I have 1 white onion I'm going to dice up, and I'll use half of it. And I'm dicing up 1 green bell pepper. I washed, dried, and roasted some dried chilies, and I'm going to grind them up. You may use ancho and morita chilies. Feel free to make your own blend. I'm dicing 1 jalapeno now. I'll get started on making the tortillas. I'm adding 2 cups of masa flour to this bowl. About a half teaspoon of salt. I'm adding 2 tablespoons of our mole negro salsa. I gradually added 1.5 cups worth of water, and from there I added more water tablespoon by tablespoon. Add the water as needed. You don't want the dough to be too dry or too sticky. Once your dough is properly formed, you can break it up into 19 balls equal in size. I'm covering our balls of dough with a damp kitchen towel. This is to prevent them from drying out. Since I don't have a tortilla press, I'm improvising. I wrap the cutting board with saran wrap and a plate with saran wrap, and I'm pressing down our first ball of dough. It wasn't quite as thin as I wanted, so I continued rolling the dough with saran wrap and a rolling pin. Try to make sure it's evenly pressed. I also tried the same technique using a small pan. Keep your rolled out tortilla dough separated but moist. I kept the separated tortilla pieces in a steamer off the heat to keep them hydrated until I was ready to fry them up. You don't want the water to be super hot as you don't want to cook them. I'm using a large oiled pan to fry up the tortillas on both sides. Feel free to pop them back in your steamer basket, then you can warm and crisp them up later on when you're ready to assemble everything. I have our hot oiled pan here and I'm adding our carrot, potato, and white onion. Let them cook for about 8 minutes or so. I'm adding a teaspoon of dried oregano, and half a teaspoon of ground cumin. Add a generous grinding of black pepper and salt to your liking. I'm popping in our jalapeno. I've added 1 cup of veggie stock. I'm adding juice from half of a lime. Now I'm adding 1 cup's worth of diced tomatoes. I'm adding a teaspoon of our custom chili blend. I also added a little chipotle and regular chili powder in the mix. Mix everything up. Feel free to improvise and see what suits you. Since our liquid has been added, our mixture has been cooking for about 15 minutes. Now I'm adding our diced green bell pepper. Here's the tempeh crumble we're going to be using. I'm using a half a package of this tempeh crumble. I'm popping on the lid and we'll let this cook for an additional 15 minutes. But before I forget, I'm adding a tablespoon of tomato paste. Picar means to chop or mince in Spanish, and this beautiful picadillo mixture that I'm making was chopped up traditionally and especially enjoyed in Spain during the Moorish rule. Now, this picadillo mixture made its way over to Mexico during the colonial era, but in 1821, that was the first recorded story of it being enjoyed. Augustin de Iturbide, he had just signed the Treaty of Cordoba, and he was on his way to becoming emperor, and Mexico was on its way to becoming independent. He stopped over in Puebla, Mexico, where nuns had decided to prepare a special dish for him. So what they did was they took a poblano pepper, they had the picadillo mixture, and they stuffed the pepper. This one was a little bit different. It had walnuts, it had fruits. Some say it was topped with pomegranate, and it was said to resemble the upcoming new Mexican flag. Tostadas were quite the popular snack in Mexico, and they still are, so it was only natural to pair the picadillo mixture with tostadas. Now, as for the origin of tostadas, it's very general, Mesoamerica. Well, some people do credit Oaxaca, Mexico with the origin of tostadas. You will find if you travel throughout Latin America, there are different variations of the picadillo mixture with the tostadas. For an example, in Cuba, they use a mixture of green olives and raisins, which isn't done in Mexico. In Mexico, the standard is the carrots, the potatoes, and we're using the tempeh crumble rather than the beef. In Costa Rica, most of their tostada dishes are vegetarian, and in Colombia and Puerto Rico, they use the picadillo filling for their empanadas. Everything's just about done. I've heated up our refried beans and our tortillas are crisping up in the oven. You can see our beautiful picadillo mixture. I'm adding about a teaspoon's worth of microplane garlic. Mix everything all up. Now it's time to get everything plated, so I'm gently spreading on our refried beans on our tostadas. Scoop on your picadillo. I'm adding our mixed shredded veggies. I'm adding a couple of dollops of vegan sour cream. I'm adding our Daya vegan cheese shreds, some cilantro, a wedge of lime, pico de gallo, and some guacamole if you wish. For the second batch, I remembered I had pickled onions to use. It's that time again, everyone. I get to try our delicious tostadas. For our extra pop, I'm just gonna dive in. It's gonna be messy. Perfect balance. Beautiful homemade crispy tostadas from our tortillas. Simply divine. Of course, you can take some shortcuts by getting the tortillas instead of making them, and you can also purchase refried beans. Just watch out and make sure there's no lard in the refried beans because that's quite common. Also, you can make the refried beans ahead of time just to save some time. You can do all the prep work a day in advance, so then you can put everything together the next day for the ultimate deliciousness. So there you have it, everyone, another delicious recipe to add to your recipe booklets. And remember, if you like this video in any way, shape, or form, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to my channel, and hit that little bell notification icon so you don't miss a single video. There's gonna be a new video popping up every Monday at 12 noon Eastern, so you don't wanna miss it. Until next time, this is JJ signing off, keeping things interesting in my kitchen and in yours. Buen provecho.